afternoon, everybody. It's a privilege for me to be here. And I'm so glad that everybody has invited me. So as a chaplain for Vitas here, I had the honor to care for and in the course I met and I know it's been some time that he has gone, but he had thought about me, and I said, thank you. And I made it. But today I wanted to tell you that as a chaplain, my training allowed me to help people who are on the last leg, so to speak, on earth. And my job and responsibility is to provide peace and share love. So I had that privilege. But today I wanted to tell you also that I have been part in her life and I've been life. And for some reason, we click, so to speak. But at the same time, I want to tell you also, we are part of this universe. Just one, right? Our planet, Earth. One creator, one creator, and we are one creature. Created by this energy, this force that permeates the whole world. So when I visited Sine Mate and Ivan, that was my job, to help her make that transition. So I did my best. For 20 years I've been the chaplain for Vitas. And I go to families. And that way also my world has been enriched meeting them. In a time, I would say difficult time, sad time. And I don't know how much of the peace that I share with them. I don't know how much light they find themselves to make that trip back, wherever they're going. And more importantly, my job is to share that love that we all have. We were born with that love. And our job on this earth is to share that love with each other. No matter where you come from, we are one. And our job is to help each other. While we are here on this earth, love each other, share that love with each other, especially those who are less fortunate, who are going through difficult times. This is our job. And I'm so glad today, because of Sine Mate and my I have the privilege to meet all of you. And I'm hoping that I can meet with you some other time, even in spirit, because our sister is still hovering around in spirit with us, because we are all spiritual beings. This body is a shell. The spirit, that is what is important. But we have to create that balance. And I'm so glad that really, and talking about my sister Sine, I know that wherever she is, she must be rejoicing. And she must be here in our midst this afternoon. And in closing, I would like to say something in Swedish. Can you believe it? I speak Swedish. Jag älskar dig. Did I say it right?
Yes. Yes.
So I just want to say I love you all.
Well done.
You need a microphone?
No.
Huh? I need a microphone? Can you all
No.
hear me? Yeah, they can hear me. Do I need it? All right. Well, I want you to say Sina liked her glamour, her glitter, and her cowboys. And I remember she captured Brent's eye one day at the Biltmore pool. She was diving, and he lost contact. She dove, and she found it. And I think that sealed the deal. Her approach to food was intense. She mixed chemistry with love. Her bouillabaisse, our Bloody Marys, and endless meals. It was always a party. Her old world wisdom. It guided me so many times. I recently read a book about the wisdom of octopuses, and it was titled "Weird is Beautiful." And I like to think I'm weird too. And she would always find something that was unique. Frank is an example. And she did laugh, and laugh at it. That just comes from that. But when her memory faded, she filled it up from storm. And we were all ones to have her in our lives.
I'm going to ask my longtime friend, John Fail's son, to have a few words about our lives in the sea. It's not here.
I'm not a big fan of using microphones or talking in front of people, so if you guys can hear me okay, I'll bring it from here. So my name's John, Johnny, John Jr. At different points in my life, depending on when you knew me. My dad is the actual John Jr., but him and Brandon have been best friends my entire life, before and since. And I got the fortunate pleasure of growing up on the water in South Florida and spending a lot of time with these two guys, which could have been a little crazy at times. I'm sure I don't have to explain any kind of details on that, but what a wonderful experience nonetheless. And one of the things I can always remember was Sina being out with us. She had a way, I get to kind of echo the sentiment of what you guys have shared. The way she smiled would always make sure that I was taken care of, you know. She was always there, always very eager and wanted to do something good, especially me. And it was a unique food that I didn't get exactly the same food experience. You know, I can remember her voice, her accent. Growing up in South Florida, we're no stranger to accents, but there was something about her voice and the way she sounded that kind of resonated with me as a kid, you know. But we were just very lucky to have her around, especially in the capacity that all of you did and definitely the way that I did. And she was just a good person, you know. She kind of taught me at a really young age that there are special people out there that no matter what's going on in the world, they're always gonna, you know, do good things and kind of look out after people. And I think that was something second to none. You know, we don't always see that. So I'll keep it short, but yeah, thank you for and thinking of me to come up here and speak some words. I know I had to fight my dad to keep him off the stage. You know this guy, but yeah, no, I just again, for everybody here, she was definitely a special person, and that's what I got.
Okay.
Anybody that has something they want to say, you might think you're ready to not to get through anywhere now. Whether you're prepared or not, this would be very special to us. If anybody would have anything to say.
Sí.
They're my longtime friends, Larissa and Julio. I've known for a very long time, and they're always on a motorcycle somewhere. We're in Aruba, and they're both very, very successful people.
I mean, for me, it's I'm not very good at words, but it's a real emotion to be here, right, and celebrate Sina, who we shared over 36 years of great experiences. I mean, we were lucky and blessed that she came to our wedding in Venezuela. I mean, it's not safe, right? It was, for us, was like a highlight to have Brent and Sina be with us. But I think the fun parts of all our tailgating parties were to have Sina and Julio fight about, okay, Julio, you bring the cans inside your pants. You can't do that. You can't do that. They're gonna throw us
in
out.
those times we didn't have a metal detector. So Sina, I already have two there. Hey, bring one more.
Forever in our hearts. So we will forever smile for Sina, right? I mean, to Brand, family, Candace. I mean, there are no words, right? Every time we came to see her, it was like a smile or the teddy bear, or it was, yeah, it's been a part of our lives that we will cherish forever. Brand, you're a family, right? We love you and the family. So thank you for this opportunity. Sina, forever in our hearts. Thank you.
Get all the smiles on the face and that big smile on my ears. My wife, girlfriend, they're everywhere. So,
Hello. Hello. Many faces here. Some I've met before. And like Brent said, I sort of feel like coming here. I represent several people because the main thing that happened for me, of course, hearing about Sina's death is, as you may or may not know, both of my parents are dead, so Sina preceded, as they say, by Dara, her twin sister. So I felt like I must bring something from Clara as well. And then of course Jan, because he also spent quite a lot of time in this house. And over the years, I know that Brent also got to know Jan quite well. So I will start in this way. Oh, I also want to say one more thing. It's really important that we do this. So thank you for inviting us all to creating this space, holding this place for us. Yeah. From Jan, you know, he was not a man of many words. If you look at the band you have, he's from that part of the country where you're not as baboos as in other places. So Jan would say, first of all, you know, thank you for hospitality and for all the food over the years, and for all the laughs whenever we met. Because, you know, seeing a smile was mentioned. I'm sure, as young, you seen also as a younger, you know, all the way through. It's always charming. So, but what he especially, I know, appreciated later in life is coming here many times and feeling your hospitality and always feeling welcome in this house. And I think another thing that he really was happy about is that this then got Lara to come more to Miami and to Florida, because then he could get one of his own dreams is to buy a couple of houses over here in the US. Because you see, my father is where the whole of it, at least for me, started in my part of the family, started for the US, because he came to the States when he was 19. He didn't stay very long, but he did do the the fighter pilot training and then did the hitchhiking route. So I grew up with stories of the US, not only from this side of the family, but also from the other. So for him, he felt always at home here. So he was so happy, you know, now we can share this. And I know he also considered you a friend with him. Yeah. From Clara, Clara will say, you know, try and say from Clara's voice that I know, Sine, you are here with us, and as the pastor mentioned, we are spiritual beings. This is exactly right. And she also had a deep feeling of deep connection to its twin sister, right? So, but for Clara, it was, she knew deep in her soul, deep in her heart, that they were connected from many reincarnations, many, many times. It's not coincidence when you get born as twins. It means a deep spiritual connection. And Sine was always the big sister. You know, there was only a few minutes apart, but Sine was the one that was birthed. Huh? So she was also many times, and I'll share just one story from their childhood that I heard. She was the charming, instigating, like the worldly out, and my mother was more of a bit more introverted, but you could say that's relative. Huh? And she was certainly also extroverted at times. But this is the story, a small story from the childhood. It's just that as girls in Vestpol, they grew up in Copenhagen, sort of inner city district of Copenhagen, and they would sometimes run out and make a prank on the trolley cars. And at least my mother would say that it was Sine who instigated this idea. So basically, there were old trolley cars, and they would go up, these little girls, pull when they were stopped, pull out off the electrical connection, and then the driver had to get out. These girls would quickly skedaddle into the... Anyway, so they did get up to quite a lot of mischief. And even though my mother said it was Sine's idea, I'm pretty sure that, the more I think about it, the more similarities there actually were. They neither of them could really sit still. And both of them, had this kind of arrangement in the kitchen where they would work. And they were both very good at focusing on the present moment. And also had this sort of hyper focus and this ability to survive and get through all the many things we come through. Okay, Lara would also say, Sine, I've always loved you unconditionally, and that's maybe that I felt very much that my mother always, when she came here, she said I come to support Sine, but she would also have fun and be drinking in the kitchen and have so there were several things. And later in life, after my father had died, my mother would spend months here, right? So many of you have met her. I've noticed. I figured that out, huh? And they would do cruises and they loved shopping together. Yeah, they really loved shopping. And my father had the perfect system. If he went to them with the mall, he always brought a book and then he sat somewhere. And then they would, show up, not at the same time, but they would sort of show up individually and come back every once in an hour or so. Okay, now the last thing. I'm sorry, but I have to do it for 3 people, so you bear with me. The last one is from me. And I will say, dear Sine, you left Denmark before I was born. So my childhood memories are of all the fun you bring. It's like sunshine. Suddenly there's Sine and a lot of stuff happens. So either we go here for a vacation to visit and see all this interesting, strange life that's not at all like Denmark, at least I hope. So, but then what I didn't remember is, here there would be big cars, flamingos, and tailgate parties and all that stuff. It's kind of exciting for a kid, huh? And then Sine actually introduced me to fast food.
No.
Because you had McDonald's here. Even when I came here, we only got it in the 90s, I think, in Denmark. So I had the McDonald's there, and she taught me not only about what it was and bought me a burger or whatever it was, but she taught me something that I will never forget. It's about how to compress the burger. She called it in English tryk size. I don't exactly know, but I think it was so that it fit into my little mouth. And it was quite easy to do, with like make something. Anyway, I never forget the tryk size. And then, Sine, when you came back to visit us in Denmark, sometimes I clearly remember you would make we have like parents make lunchbox for their children with the strange Danish bread, right? We would get that every day. And sometimes when Sine was there, she would make it. And it was always, it was the most amazing thing. Because not only did I get liver paste, all the stuff that we do in Denmark, but there would also be a piece of chocolate I've never seen that. It's like there's chocolate in my lunchbox. What is this? I know Americans, you have the chips or whatever, but for me it was like, what? Of course, I instantly loved that. Yeah, I just want to say how much Sine and this all made me think about how much I miss my mother, of course, because they were more similar than, even though different lives, they have the energy that people have, the intensity, and that's what I felt was so much the same, sort of.
Ramona is the daughter of Sine's niece, Joanna, and the great friends, and they're wonderful friends. They couldn't make it today because they're going to be up in Berlin in Denmark for a little bit.
Hello, can everyone hear me? Yeah. My voice is going to get shaky and it's going to get hard, but we're going to do this. So I'm representing my parents. Joanna and Henrik couldn't be here, but my mother wrote the word. Starry girl. Sine, I am here with you in spirit today, celebrating your life and every day going forward. You have been there for me always, have been a mother, loving me unconditionally. At the same time, we had so much fun and great moments, which I will treasure forever. Our laughs, lunches in Bell Harbor, our tours to the Florida Keys, planning your Xmas parties, celebrating you cruising the Caribbean and Hawaii, and many other fantastic, unforgettable memories. I love you, Sina. You will always be in my heart. I wish you forever bliss. You are truly an inspiration and a guiding angel. Maybe a little mischievous at times, but overall, an angel. Love you, hugs and kisses. That was the message from my mother. I just want to, before I read my message, let people know what Sina meant and essentially how she came into my life. She basically took my took me from my parents' arms at 6 months old and said, "I'm bringing the child to Denmark to show everyone. Goodbye." So I got to meet everyone before my parents could even show them off. But Sina has always been my crazy aunt, no matter what. And throughout the years, this is what I would love to say. Master Sina was a Dane through and through. She let her voice be heard in every room she entered. The life she led was not always the most glamorous, but she made sure that she looked good, a pop of color, and a bit of sequel. My favorite photos of her are my parents' wedding photos. Literally in the background, you just see her with a red hat just standing out. So beautiful, so prim and proper every time. My stubborn nature would always clash with hers, but I would leave learning a new way to stand my ground. She was a cheerleader to so many, and just like any other sports friend, talking about you, Brent, she never let her loyalty and belief in you falter. I graduated last year, and could picture her excited face light up with that perfect smile. My mother saw Sina as someone who was patient, albeit very confident in her ways and unconditional. A lady at times, and a real woman during others. I had a different perspective, as my memory often envisioned her with a fishy hat and gear, always ready to catch the biggest prize. What I wouldn't give for another ham and cheese sandwich with tomatoes on the water, because that was her favorite sandwich to make every time we went out as a kid. I saw someone who could send a drink back if it wasn't strong enough. Would never let anyone take a bad picture of her, and would speak up without interruption. So I saw someone who knew who she was and wouldn't let anyone ruin the party she had in her own world. Thank you, Sina, for showing me what being a Danish woman truly means. Sig hej og giv kærlighed til klap og jer. Thank you.
Yep. Okay. I'm soft-spoken, so I'm going to use this. Hello, everyone. Sine Mate was my grandma, and I would like to share my favorite memory of her with you all. In the summer of 2012, my family and I were in Copenhagen, and my grandma happened to be with us for a portion of the trip. The first afternoon she was there, she wanted to spend it with just me. I was 7 years old, and she asked me where I wanted to go. I told her that I wanted to go to Tivoli, a world-famous amusement park that inspired Disneyland. It was a place that my brother and I always wanted to be whenever we were in Copenhagen. It was my dream to live there year-round. Grandma always hated rides, so without telling me a verbal no, we got on the bus and we went somewhere else. It was a clear and sultry day, the perfect day for Grandma. The sun always had a way of bringing out the best in her sense of style, and this afternoon's ensemble would have put every window display we passed to shame. She wore a flowy blouse embroidered with tropical flowers and marmosets. Hot pink clung to her legs, with costume jewels seaming from her ankles to her waist like a fever. A rhinestone lizard coiled around her neck, and she wore a brimmed hat with a scarf whose two loose ends bellowed in the wind. I couldn't tell you what earrings she wore, but I'd wager 100 with someone that they were no less excessive nor defiant than the rest of her. The only outfit that I could have worn that day that was capable of competing with hers would have been my Cinderella dress from Halloween, and it still would have lost. We paraded the streets for quite some time, but every so often, Grandma would stop, look around, mutter something under her breath, turn, and tug me in the opposite direction. This went on for a while, Whenever I felt we were about to approach a building to explore, she would shake her head and pull me away at the last second. We were lost, and I knew that because we weren't in Tivoli. I asked her about it, and with an unbothered disposition, she said she would ask for directions. It was the most simple way of saying yes, Charlie. We were lost. There was no one else around except for one man. He was shirtless, save for a tight pair of Levi's, sweaty, hairy, and with a row of gold teeth that shined when he spoke. To my 7-year-old self, it was like the first time I saw a cadaver. With no one else in Sina's line of sight, she never hesitated, and she approached him and asked for direction. His words led us to a butcher shop, where Grandma bought an assortment of cheeses, cold cuts, a loaf of bread, and a punnet of strawberries. I knew abstractly what our next course of action was, the way that I knew what surgery or demolition looked like. My brain began to color an image of the two of us basking in the glory of an idyllic garden picnic. The place I had in mind to do this was the King's Garden, which was about a 20-minute walk and a 6-minute train ride away. But Grandma could never wait that long, especially if that something was cheese. With a tall bag of food in my arms, I followed her across the street, up a flight of stairs, where she plopped herself down on a vacant stoop and began laying everything out on a plastic shopping bag. I noted that the butcher had plastic utensils and paper plates for sale, so I suggested that we go and buy some. We don't need those things, she said. How are we going to cut these then? I asked. With our hands, she said, as she grasped a trapezoid of Gouda, broke it in half, and placed the larger piece on my knee. Thinking she just didn't want to walk back across the street, I stood up and offered to run that errand for her, only to be pulled by the wrist and seated again. That's not necessary, she said. We have things to talk about. I know that Grandma and I had a much longer conversation that day about school and the kinds of things a 7-year-old talks about. But the way she spoke to me at 7 years old was the same way she spoke to me at 14, right before her accident began to dissolve her consciousness. We were standing in the kitchen preparing dinner together, and she grabbed my hands, looked me in the eyes, and said, "We are so alike, you and I." Even when she was sick, she saw me as an equal. At 7 years old, she spoke to me as an equal. If I had asked for her life advice, her answer would have been the same, no matter how old I was. It wasn't because she couldn't filter her words. It was because she trusted that I would remember them. It didn't matter if I didn't understand them yet. As long as I remembered, I would understand later. Nothing was ever too inappropriate for Grandma to say. You may be wondering why I chose this memory over the hundreds that I have with her. And it's because that afternoon, she taught me 4 lessons that I've only come to understand now, at 20 years old. 1, I learned that money is meant to be spent. There is no purchase that's too impetuous for the memories to be made from them. 2, if something works, it works. If a plastic bag can serve as a plate and your hands can split a block of cheese and bread, it will save you 20 crowns and a trip across the street. 3, take chances with people. They may surprise you, because that shirtless man helped my grandma and me go home with our stomachs full and in time for cartoons. 4, I learned that plans rarely work out the way we intend them to, and they aren't worth thrashing over. A lot can still be gained in a change of plans. I'm still learning that one. Grandma was an unconventional kind of smart. She knew she only had sparse time with me. She knew I had a good memory, so she gave me guidance, directly or without words, that I could use for the rest of my life. I'm grateful for my ability to remember the acute details, because the little things she did were my favorite parts of her. But in all honesty, Grandma is an impossible person to forget. Strangers never forget her because of the way that she looked. She was like a summer that skipped ahead to the beauty of fall and the celebration of Christmas before slipping past a cold, dark January. Her friends would never forget her because of the entrances she made at every occasion, and her family would never forget her because of her affect. She was Sine Mate, and she was my grandma. I remember you, Grandma. I remember you whenever I apply eyeliner in the bathroom mirror, when I look at the water, when I buy expensive clothes that hang limp as fish in my closet, and today, in the backyard, where my brother and I used to play, sitting in front of a small crowd of people who remember you too. They remember the messiness, the spotlessness of you, and that is all you. And it's the version of you that I never want to forget. Thank you. I would like to invite Rita to the stand.
Well, that's a hard act to follow. Hello, everyone. I'm Brigida number 2. My mother, Mai, met Sina and Clara at nursing school at the Kommune Hospital in Copenhagen in the 60s. They very quickly became best friends, enjoying youth, the free spirit living of the 60s, and falling in love. Sina had Brigida, and Mai had me. Of course, we had to have the same name. Hence number 1 and 2. My first memories of Sina was this beautiful, sophisticated woman with $1 million smile. She lit up the room when she walked in tight skirts, heels, made up, even on Sunday morning when we all looked like pajamas. She had an artistic touch, the one that Carl was just and the whole connect. A creativity and a sensitivity that was extraordinary. The Hasselblad camera was never far from her hands. She took the most beautiful and unique photos of people, and they amaze me to this day. When Sina and Brigida moved to America, my mom missed Sina terribly. But she knew that Sina had to go. A fresh start with grit, determination, and a wish for a better life for herself and her daughter. Thankfully, Sina would often return for visits, and Brigida would often spend summers in Denmark with us. So when my mom became seriously ill, I was about 13 or 14, and my brother was 3. Sina was there. And during that time, I found an exchange of letters between Sina and my mom. A promise for life. That Brigida would be raised with us if ever Sina was not able to care for her. And that Sina would take over the role of mothering and guiding me at the passing of life. And Sina did just that. She was the one who taught me and showed me many firsts of my life. She taught me how to take care of my skin, how to dress, basic cooking skills. I never, ever rose to the level that Brigida number 1 or Sina. But most importantly, she gave me a lifeline. She gave me permission to have fun, to be happy, silly, and a little mischievous, as we've heard about before. To take chances and to calibrate risks. Sina showed me that generosity is not about money. It's about being present. It's about sharing life. It's about expanding your horizons with an open heart. Sina took me to New York, to Key West, and to Jamaica, as many of you have heard. She also taught me how to drive in a Cadillac. Excuse me. At 16, by the way. And you can't do that in Denmark today, right? And We had a little help from Joanna. Yeah. On the way. And Sina showed me that you can fall hard in love, and she met right. She loved to give. Sina always showed me that you had to work hard for what you want, to take nothing for granted, and to never depend on another person in your survival. Values that I live by to this day, and I have passed on to my son. Because Sina has seen and lived the dark side of life, she had to fight nail and tooth to take care of her daughter and to survive. I have never met anyone who worked this hard as Sina did. In real estate, she rose to the top, and I will always remember her attentiveness to the people she worked with. I was with her once when a family was arriving with small children in hand trying to find a new home in Florida. And she had loaded up the cooler with cold water drinks and homemade sandwiches so they could come on and have the day. But most importantly, and for what I am most thankful, is that Sina gave me a sister, my person, my life with. Speaking of nothing, that is that I have. Your wonderful family and my your mom was so she loved me so much. She was not perfect in any way. So thank you, Sina. I am so grateful that your mom, Clara, no, not Sina's mom, my mom, Clara, and Sina met each other on that morning at nursing school. And I am so grateful for having been part of your life. I hope you have fun in heaven, chatting away with Clara and Mara. As beginning number 1 and beginning number 2 continue to chat away today on earth. Yes, we cry.
The day after my mom died, I stood staring at the corner bookcase in Mom and Brent's dining room, just a stone's throw from where we are all gathered now. This book caught my eye. Flukten Sine Mate. First published in 1830, Voyage to America is a classic Danish illustrated poem about two siblings that daydream of a voyage to America. One sentence reads, "If you can survive the long voyage over the sea, you will never regret it, for you will find gold at your feet, enjoy confections all day long, and you can even skip school." The inside cover is inscribed with my grandfather's unmistakable handwriting. 10 Sina på din 6-års fødselsdag. To Sina on your 6th birthday. Even back in 1948, It was foretold that my mom's spirited character and fierce will destined her for a great adventure in America. I still can't imagine the courage it took to leave everyone and everything Danish behind at 28 and sail to Fort Lauderdale with a young daughter, 4 suitcases, and $600 to her name. But my mom was always fearless. She never doubted her dreams, and no one was going to outwork her as she pursued them. It was hot as blazes when we first arrived in America in September 1971. And I remember riding the city bus on Miami Beach, looking at all the palm trees, and my mom proudly gesturing like a game show host to the scenery out the window. This is our new hometown, Miami. America truly was my mom's greatest adventure. Here, Sine built 2 successful careers, owned 6 homes, found multiple loves, survived stage 3 breast cancer, and made so many wonderful friends. She did it all with her signature joie de vivre and her charming Danish accent, which I recall got her out of more than one speeding ticket. But officer, I'm not from this country. My mom often returned to Denmark to visit her beloved mother and her siblings, especially her twin sister Clara. But she never wanted to be away from sunny South Florida for too long. Sine's move was a final and firm self-deportation from frigid Denmark to a postcard state of blissful blue waters and perpetual sunshine. I turned 60 the month before my mom died. Some would have made the most of a 6-decade-long mother-daughter relationship, but not Sine and I. For many years, we just talked past or over each other, and our relationship limped along, surviving on obligatory phone calls. I was a bitter handful as a teenager, and I spent many years judging my mom harshly for her choices that often made our early years in America anything but a glamorous expedition. I didn't know we were broke back then. I didn't understand why we could only buy off-brand groceries with our food stamps, or why we had to move a lot and meet new roommates. But my mom never complained. She just got on with it. She was indefatigable. When bad things happened, she fixed her gaze on the horizon ahead and never looked back. If my mom had dwelled on all the losses and the seemingly impossible obstacles she had to navigate, she never would have gotten on that boat to America. My mom had a superpower indispensable to a first-generation immigrant. She really could craft a silk purse from a sow's ear. Only my mom could open the refrigerator and find just white bread, mustard, and a few eggs staring back at her, and conjure up a tasty dinner for the 2 of us. Throughout the 1970s, I recall watching my mom ask the butcher at Winn-Dixie for meat scraps, or her coming home from forgettable dates with doggy bags just for me. The tragedy for us both was that for so long, I only remembered the embarrassing parts about being her daughter, and not the heroic parts about how hard she tried to sustain us. When I was in 3rd grade, my sneakers were too small, and I desperately needed new ones. Mom said I'd have to wait till payday. I pleaded and said that I had to have new sneakers for a field day competition at school, where I was scheduled to race in the 50-yard dash next day. Later that same evening, we found ourselves in the back office at Sears and Roebuck on Coral Way and Douglas Road, getting interrogated by the store detectives who accused my mother of shoplifting. I didn't know what that was at the time, but I have a vivid memory of two men commanding my mom to open her purse in front of them. My mom cried as she shamefully pulled out a pair of girls' sneakers and silently set them on the desk. It was one of only a handful of times I ever saw my mother cry. We never spoke of that incident again, and I did not set foot in another Sears store for another 30 years. But to my mom's everlasting credit, I always made it to school on time, and I became a good student. Mom passed her nursing boards on the third try and got her dream job at Mercy Hospital. And brick by brick, we managed to build a new life here in America. Together, we were survivors with a capital S on the grandest mother-daughter adventure. I just didn't appreciate it back then. I became a stay-at-home mom at 40. I have the most supportive spouse, and we have abundant resources, and still, I found parenting a dizzying juggling act. Only at 50 did I stop to marvel that my mom was a solo parent, driving a car that often ran out of gas as she hustled from one job to the next. How on earth did she manage? Just before she died, I told my mom the truest thing I've ever said to her. Moi, you weren't the mom I wished for, but you definitely were the mom I didn't know I needed. Our lives were often unpredictable, but never boring. My mom truly did give me the gift of a more colorful and exciting life, and her love of cooking and travel and making good trouble is deep in me and in my son. I see my mom's gift for lighting up every room she ever entered and making others feel cared for. And in my daughter, I see my mom's boundless wit, creativity, and perseverance. I am so proud to be your daughter, Sina. Thank you more for all the lessons, the magic, and the wonder of you. And now I'd like to invite my mom's beloved, most beloved, to come up.
What beautiful words that we've heard so far. I don't know how brief I can be, but I have a lot to say. Before I begin, I just want to acknowledge that this is the first time that Sina's family and my family are together, and that's what I need to do. My life and passion always centered around my film career. Socially, I was awkward. I was never a ladies' man. Or cared about marriage or starting a family. I was too self-centered. I dated casually. The problem was not meeting someone. The problem was always when I opened my mouth. Women, still is. Women I met were looking for someone serious. So the question is, how did I meet Sina? It's a true shoot picked me up. It was a Friday night, July 8th, 1988. I was 37, living in an old cottage in South Manhattan. My friend Howard and Danny came back and forth on his very fast birthday. Took me to Coconut Grove, which was groovy at the time. First stop was the Forest Steakhouse, where there was live blues and jazz in the adjacent bar. It was a hip-friendly crowd, a place where you take a friend, your mother is saying, looking for a good time. We drank, listened to music. Then I noticed three well-dressed women standing together on the side, and one giving me the eye. Did we speak? I don't remember. But when we left, she walked out with us to the Hungry Sailor, a reggae bar. And when it got late and it was time to head home, she followed us in her car. We arrived, the four of us walked inside together. She paused for a moment, placed her purse down, and immediately laid down on my living room sofa with a sweet grin, fell asleep. She was stunning, with the peaceful look on her face and her skirt exposing her beautiful legs and man. We stared at her, not with lust, but with awe. Who was this creature? It was like no one we'd ever seen or met before. Dan wanted to ask her out, but he and Howard headed back home the next morning, and she stayed and we talked. She was Danish, a realtor, driving a big black Mercedes-Benz, and her name was Sina, which I had a hard time pronouncing for a while. But with her quirky personality, foreign accent, and beaming smile, I teased her, and I told her that I thought maybe she was from outer space. And after we dated a bit, that's how I introduced her to my line. This is Sina from outer space. Then I nicknamed her Lulu. She thought that was funny, and I was too. I liked that, and she seemed to really like it. I had been planning my first business trip to Paris, invited her to come along, and she accepted. I figured 2 weeks together in France would determine whether our relationship would go anywhere. After my client's meeting in Paris, we took on our road trip south to Burgundy, Rhone, and Provence. We drove past lush vineyards and stopped to pick and taste famous grapes. We followed the scenic, peaceful Burgundy Canal for a while. We stopped in Camargue, which is similar to the Everglades, where a colony of real gypsies lived in small trailers. Then to Saint-Tropez, the second most important fashion center after Paris, where I bought her an all-black long-sleeved outfit with matching pants and horizontal colored stripes. She looked great in it. She looked great in everything she wore. We stayed in quaint auberges, old chateaus turned into B&Bs. The most memorable was Chateau de Ressol in Saint-Rémy-de-Provence, a welcoming and secluded two-story home. Our room was upstairs with a large wooden shutters that opened and overlooked the most exquisite fairy tale pond in Oregon. The sun was still warm. The late afternoon light was beautiful, and we drank champagne. Upon returning to the pond the next morning, I was greeted by a huge, insane white goose who charged me, quacking madly, as it chased me off this domain. We ate well whenever we stopped. In September, the seasonal dish in France was roast canard or duck. We often finished the last of our red wine with some gooey, smelly cheese, and the smooth, locally made cognac we drank with the wine. I took 3 bottles of handwritten later. Finally, it was time to get back to Miami. And the trip was successful. It was magical. The most beautiful experience I had with a woman who liked me, and apparently had chosen me to begin a new life together with. Our relationship grew for many years, and we were a great couple. spending good time together with family, friends, and traveling abroad. We fished regularly for dinner off the old whistle building near Key Largo. We camped out at Boca Chica on the cool, windy nights so the bugs would be away. We went to all the Miami Dolphins home games, loading up the Red Explorer with a tent, good food to grill, Sina's dishes, beer, Prosecco, still with room to squeeze 2 friends in. We met up with Todd Smith, Bill Hennessy, and other Dolphins at the stadium parking lot, section orange to tailgate. Later, after Mauricio had met Julio, it became a tradition to take them to the first game each season. William and Kim, Al Zuber, Dave Norton, and others were welcome guests. Then Sina introduced me to Denmark, and we traveled there regularly. I embraced her family along with the culture and history. We toured this diverse maritime country of interconnected islands with the sea always nearby, eating herring, open-faced sandwiches, and washing them down with akavit and Carlsberg beer. I grew close to Steve, Hans, Clara, Jörn, Michael, Peter, and Trino, with my perfect partner as my guide. I loved Denmark, and I loved Sina. We also returned to France often so I could hustle work and to explore their diversity, touring the Loire Valley, Champagne, Normandy, and Brittany, our favorite region. Back home with friends, we had close friends in Miami, but the one constant that we, through our lives for 40 years, was our unconditional love and affection for Michael and Regina McFall. First neighbors, then friends, then family. Free spirits with a little Ralph and Alice Crandon mixed in. They were heads who welcomed us as they raised their 2 sons, Mario and Jesse. I never felt more comfortable and happy back then when the firefighter Michael was alive and the 4 of us hanged out together. Stiff drinks, good music, home-cooked dinner, pulling hot tub in their backyard, crazy Christmas gifts every Christmas, boxes, Captain's Tavern, Tobacco Road, Cocoa Beach, the Mangrove Stud. It goes on and on. It was nonstop with them, and many times Michael would volunteer to drive, which was just fine with us. The simple fact is that Sina loved to be around people, and they loved her. And we both worked hard, and business was good. Sina left every morning for the Coldwell Banker office and came back in the evening to cook some splendid meal for me with the Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy playing on TV. Just one thing, just stay the hell out of my kitchen. She had been watching these shows for years to help learn English. Rumor has it that she might have auditioned for Vanna White's role too. She would have been perfect. I was on the road a lot, shooting mostly in Los Angeles, and sometimes she flew out to join me. She always impressed me with how creative and talented she was, and her nonstop energy. I was 9 years younger, and I still couldn't keep up with her. She won numerous awards as a top reeler. She was a great cook, had many cookbooks and recipes. Her gravlax were the best. Her bouillabaisse and split green pea soup made me want to open a small diner with her. I would have called it Sina's Soup Kitchen. Interior decorator, we moved out of the House of Pond to 7740 where we're today. We spent a year remodeling it. All I wanted was to convert the pet master bedroom into my office. She designed the kitchen herself, was instrumental in selecting new furniture, lighting, bathroom fixtures, granite for tabletops, Spanish flooring, etc. She had good taste, a sense of style, was a stylish dresser, and we smoked cigars together. She became an enthusiastic fisherman and conservationist. She caught the biggest kingfish in 1993 and 2013 at the Ladies Fish Off with my longtime buddy John McPhail, who's here today, and his stepson Michael. She landed her first blue marlin in Cape Verde in 2021 with her friends Phil and Cindy Kittens. She loved traveling to international catch and release tournaments to participate as a top IGFA observer at the party with the rich fishermen competitors, which I know she liked very much. She was generous. She organized cruises for a large American tourist family so they could travel together and she'd help pay for the younger members. We shared many memorable times together, meeting my mom and then becoming fast friends. Brigitte and Art's wedding in Vermont, Denmark, the arrival of her grandkids, Alex and Charlie. My nephew met Adam marrying his wife Louie and the birth of Olivia, the next generation of Specters. And traveling to Caracas for Mauricio and Julio's weddings. I couldn't help but include the fact the time when I was shooting a job in St. Thomas when Hurricane Marilyn decided to pay a visit. It was too dangerous to stay in the hotel, so Tina and I bunkered down in a hotel hallway for additional hurricane party with Todd, Phil, Raymond, and crew. Afterwards, I had to evacuate the crew by chartered planes, while Sina was busy evacuating the hotel room minibar. Sina was strong, tough, and resilient. She made the best of any situation. Nothing got in her way. She had the blood of a Viking. She always told me not to tell anyone that she had some serious medical issue. When she had hip replacement, she was up and walking within a week. Then she was diagnosed with breast cancer. She told me, don't tell anyone. She persevered through the surgery and the chemotherapy with a smile, without a whimper, without complaining. But she fully recovered. Sina made me a whole person. Before Sina, my focus was strictly work, but I was only half a human then. With her, I learned that what it meant to share one's life together with one person, two people as one, even though it took her passing for me to finally realize that. Sina taught me that to love one person and to be loved in return is the greatest gift there is. Art and Brigitte Day, Adam and Rudy did, Jill, Julio and Mauricio, Raul and Robert, Joanna and Henrik, Regina and Michael, and the rest of us you knew. And hopefully one day Alex, Charlie, and Olivia will learn sooner than it took me. Frankly, she simply loved to have fun with people. Eventually, I knew Sina was too restless and driven to stop living life any other way but on her own terms. I was too set in my ways. But despite that and the cruel illness, we stayed together for 38 years. Now I am alone. Now the first time I am lonely. Yet twin sister Claire believed in reincarnation. Maybe I'll be lucky enough to be picked up by a new Sina one day. Someone who sees something in me to want to spend the rest of life with, and me seeing something in her. Together as one. Sorry. I'd like to say that she was a bronco-busting cowgirl filled with kiss of vinegar. With a big heart, the love of family, friends, and adventure, and whoever said no to having one more good time. She was Lulu from outer space, and I miss her so much.